Back in September 2017, we had our first audience member join the Guild on stage to give an impromptu story. And on that particular September evening, we were held on the edge of our seats as Juliana told us a story of her unexpected meeting with a bear. That year, Juliana joined the Guild. And it turned out that in September 2018, 1 year later, she ended up being in the opening program for that season. Yeah. And somehow, and I can't say how this has happened, but Juliana was also in the September 2019 performance. And now that it's 4 years in a row, I think we're going to have to crown her as Miss September. So,
nice.
Juliana
sash.
we got to do that. It's part of the virtual background that we're going to have to create. I'm going to ask you to please welcome Juliana Person, who brings us a tale entitled My Little Mustang. It's a tale of outlooks that change due to both inner and outer circumstances. Please welcome Juliana Person.
Woo!
Come back in time with me for a moment. Sophomore year at Sonoma Valley High School in Northern California. Everyone's minds seemed to be on just one thing: cars. Last year, all the guys were talking about skateboards or whatever, but now a bunch of my classmates are turning 16 and getting cars. And it's like, that's all anyone can talk about. All of the conversations around campus center around what make, what color, how many horsepower. I don't have a car. I'm still 15. But I don't want to be left out of the conversation. I tell people that I have a Mustang, red and black, 1 horsepower. I get a lot of funny looks at that. Did you say 1 horsepower? Yup. My Mustang is not a car. He's a formerly wild horse. Well, technically a pony. He's 2 inches too short to be called a horse. His name is Washoe, named after Washoe County, Nevada, where he ran wild with his herd for the first couple years of his life. He was caught in a roundup and auctioned off to this guy who wanted to ride him hunting, but Mr. Hunting Guy wasn't experienced enough to handle him. And when he got bucked off, he just stuck Washoe in a little pen and neglected him because he was too afraid to ride him again.
Nice.
He would feed and water Washoe, but horses need way more care than just that. They need grooming and exercise, hoof care, vet care. Washoe got none of those things for years. Washoe's situation came to the attention of my local vet, who contacted my mom, asking if I would like Washoe as a training project. I'd been riding since I was 9, but I'd never trained a horse before. Dr. Pete knew that I could give Washoe the care he needed, and Washoe might be exactly the pony I was looking for my first try at training. We drove out to see him. We were shown to this little round pen, and there he was. His long black mane and tail were all matted, his reddish coat lacked any kind of shine, and his hooves were all overgrown, starting to curl up at the end, making it difficult for him to walk. What really caught my attention, though, were his eyes. His big brown eyes just looked so kind. I totally fell in love. I turned to my mom, Mama, we have to take him home. And we did. Hey. Once home, we got to work. Step 1, vaccinations and deworming. Step 2, get the farrier, that's the horseshoer guy, out to deal with his overgrown hoof. Horses' hooves grow continuously, like fingernails. Normally, they wear down as they move, but with Washoe in that tiny pen, unable to run, his just grew and grew and grew. They needed a lot of work. The problem was that he was a wild Mustang. Sure, he'd had a little training, but then he was stuck in that pen and not touched. He was not happy to have the farrier pounding on his feet. Hey, don't touch me. I've never seen the phrase blood, sweat, and tears play out so literally. But after the carnage, Washoe had some neatly trimmed hooves with corrective horseshoes, and the farrier had a trip to urgent care.
Oh no!
Oh.
Keeping a pony is harder than I thought it would be. Washoe has a lot of personality, and he can be a stubborn little brat. I've been teaching him to ground tie, and he definitely understands the concept. He knows that when I drop the lead rope, he's supposed to stay put and not move. But he'll take stealth steps every time my back is turned. Only freeze when I turn around again. He gets so offended when I get after him for it. He'll give me this look like, what? You didn't see me move? Punk! He used to go all bucking bronco on me every time I asked him to canter. Washoe's having proper balance and bending his body. We work a lot on that. It can be frustrating. Sometimes we'll have a breakthrough, and then the next day, it's like he forgot everything I taught him. Slowly though, bit by bit, he's definitely learning. I've even got him jumping now. It's really cool. Time spent with Washoe isn't all business and training. Sometimes I'll just go jump on him bareback and gallop around the pasture with no bridle and almost no control, just for the joy of running. Sometimes, if I'm feeling stressed out about school or just life in general, I'll sneak out of my bedroom window at night and go sit with Washoe. He's a great listener if I need to talk. He never interrupts. It's also really soothing to just sit there quietly, breathe in the sweet smell of the oat hay, along with the leather, barn dust, slight hint of manure. Listen to the sound of him chewing. Having my pony around makes my problems melt away. The summer before my senior year, my life is over. My family is moving because of my dad's work. It's gonna be my last year of high school, and I won't be with any of my friends. Even worse, we're gonna be in the suburbs in Southern California, and I won't be able to have horses anymore. It's bad enough I have to say goodbye to all of my friends, but I have to say goodbye to my Mustang too? I've already retired my trusty old show horse with a family friend, and now it's time for me to sell Washoe. I mean, I guess I always thought I'd probably sell him eventually, but there's a big difference between eventually and right now. It's gonna suck to be in a new town, going to a new school. I'll have no friends and no Mustang to go talk to late at night. Expect me to cope. This is so not fair.
Yes.
I ended up selling him to a younger girl who was a member of a pony club a couple hours away. And that was the end of that. We moved. I kept riding a little bit through college, but didn't have my own horse. And after college, stopped riding entirely, focusing on traveling, work. I'd often wonder about Washoe. I hoped he was doing well. I hoped he was helping some kid learn to jump. But I resigned myself to the fact that I would never know. Until one day, when I got an amazing phone call. Washoe's current owner had tracked me down because she was interested in learning about his past, though probably not nearly as interested as I was about learning about his present. She had just started college at Sonoma State, and she and Washoe were less than an hour from where I was working at a Sonoma County winery. Somehow, Washoe and I had both come back to the place where we had trained together almost a decade before. I went to see them the next weekend. I arrived at the barn, and there he was, looking exactly like I remembered him, but better. He had the same stocky build, the same thick neck, the same kind eyes. His mane was roached short now, though, and his coat was positively gleaming. He looked fantastic. His owner, Allie, filled me in on what he'd been up to since we parted ways. It turned out he wasn't a great fit for the girl I initially sold him to. a little too stubborn, a little too strong. Allie, though, was a member of that same pony club and a bit more experienced. So she bought him, and together they were doing great. She changed his name to Rebel, which suited him perfectly with his pony attitude. And they were eventing. That's competing in dressage, cross country, and show jumping. His beautifully arched neck and sure-footedness were huge assets. She said she's often asked what breed he is, and people are surprised to hear Mustang instead of something fancier. My pony was thriving and succeeding in everything I'd ever hoped he would. I felt like a proud parent. So thrilled to be able to see that success firsthand. Allie and I talked a little more about Washoe/Rebel, riding, and horses in general. She asked me if I still ride. No, that part of my life is over. I miss it a bit, but my priorities have shifted. And there's just no space in my life anymore for a horse. But you know what I do have? 152 horsepower under the hood of my blue Subaru.
Beautiful.